Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. This is the Smackdown Rebound Smackdown, not long gone off the air. Interesting to say the least. Some of the goings on Smackdown, some great wrestling as well. We're going to get into that, of course. Condolences to Afa, one of the Samoans who unfortunately passed away just a few hours before SmackDown. So obviously Roman and the team and the family, thoughts and prayers to you all. But let's get into SmackDown. Well, SmackDown was Tiffy time to start with, not necessarily because it was Tiffany Stratton in a promo, but she introduced the Queen of the Ring and the WWE Women's Champion, Nia Jax, for a celebration um, no, celebration of Nia Jax's title reign and Queen and King of the Ring. She wanted Tiffany though to bow down. It was quite interesting. To Nia Jax. Tiffany didn't seem to like the fact that she wanted to bow down. Pretty Deadly was there as well. So they was going to do a musical. They did a musical number for Nia Jax, which was quite interesting to say the least. But things come to abrupt end when Michin Miyim slides into the ring, attacks everyone with kendo sticks, and I believe next week Michin will take on Nia Jax on SmackDown. I do like Michin. I just, I don't know. I feel as if right now the women's division SmackDown side is what's the word? It's a bit stale, you know. I didn't, I thought with the draft and the people coming in that the division could go on to, go up there. But with people like Tiffany Stratton on there, Jade Cargill, Bianca, obviously we got Charlotte Flair. Now, this whole Queen thing could start the prologue to the return of Charlotte Flair. One would say though that Charlotte would return and go straight into a title match, which really I don't doesn't sit well with me if that happens. It could happen. I'm not a fan of it if it does, but what's left, and unless they're going to call up some more people, what's left on SmackDown? I mean, Mi Chin seems to be the woman that when it's kind of like, well, what do we do next? Oh, they just throw him to Mi Chin. That's what it feels like at the minute on SmackDown. I feel as if it is a bit of a stale division there. Blair Davenport coming up. Naomi's really done nothing since her return to WWE as well. So yeah, pretty stale times in the women's division. The celebration was funny for what it was worth. Me Chin coming out was a nice touch to proceedings, shall we say. But yeah, not a big fan of the women's division at the minute on SmackDown. But speaking of the women, didn't end there. It went straight to the back. Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill was there. Naomi was just saying that she was ready to basically drag Blair Davenport tonight. Bianca and Jade are looking forward to getting their tag team rematches as well. Funny enough, that was interrupted by Carmelo Hayes, who invites the ladies to the after party. And Jade politely reminded Mello that Andrade already has two victories over him, and which didn't that comment didn't really seem to bother though Carmelo, to be quite honest with you, because at least they're watching, and that goes nicely into the first match on SmackDown, which was Carmelo Andrade. These two have had some great matches on recent weeks on SmackDown. I've really enjoyed watching Carmelo and Andrade showcase their talents on SmackDown. They've been given a nice bit of time as well. Carmelo this time finally getting the victory with like a roll-up start move after he denies Andrade the message. But yeah, these are the two have been showcasing their talents very nicely on SmackDown. I know there's been a lot of slander online about perhaps them not being utilized correctly on SmackDown. And I've said this for weeks and months now. It is so difficult on SmackDown at the moment with everything that's going on bloodline wise with Cody, it is, and you got to add the women's matches onto there as well. It is so difficult right now to see where other people fit in and to get TV time. So the fact that they've had a few matches on SmackDown over the last couple of weeks has actually been great for them because it gives an opportunity. They're not on speed all the time to showcase talent. And while this whole bloodline stuff's going on, which doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon, it is going to be difficult for talent on SmackDown. It really is. It seems as if, you know, Raw seems to be the better place at the minute to go for talent wise because there isn't sort of A, it's 3 hours. B, there's a lot of storyline. There's pockets of storylines going on Raw, but it isn't so heavy, you know, and to do it on a 2 hour show as well means you've got a lot less time to play with once you take out your Codys, your champions, really, your Cody Rhodeses, you know, you're not even getting, LA Knight isn't really getting a look in at the minute as US champion. Yes, he's done an interview this week on SmackDown, which we'll get to, but not even he has really done a lot, and got involved in much. And it's because of what's on the show already, and it's only going to get worse, really, on the SmackDown. So not that I've got a problem with the bloodline stuff at all. I certainly don't. But in terms of talent coming through, you look at Raw and you look at Braun Breaker as a prime example of someone that they've just strapped the rocket to. They've gone for it with him. Right there is your key bit, where Raw has the time. Raw doesn't have as I said, they've got pockets of stories, but not like ones that take up so much time. You could argue the Judgment Day and the Rhea Ripley stuff is, but they've got time there to mold talent in, whereas SmackDown right now, they don't just because of the so much stuff going on. But anyway, really good. To be honest, match was really, really good, as you can imagine. And Carmelo Hayes finally getting a victory from what seems like forever. Is really, really good. So good start to SmackDown. The first part of the Bloodline, funny enough, starts after that with Tama Tonga handing the Ulafala over to Solo Sikoa. And Solo's like, when Roman gets in that ring, they're going to tear, Tama says they're going to tear him apart limb from limb. Solo did say that he appreciates that, but he's the tribal chief. And if Roman takes the Ulafala away from him, then Roman becomes a tribal chief again, and they will both have to acknowledge him. Seemingly, Roman Reigns is wanting that Ulafala back, and that's the important. Maybe they're going to do Ulafala on a pole or something like I don't know what they're going to do with that, but seemingly that's the thing right now. That's see, it's weird. Raw, you've got the bracelet with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. With Roman and Solo, you've got the Ulafala. Interesting times. Giovanni Vinci's promos have been airing the last few weeks on SmackDown. He says that pride, honor, respect. Those are words that are mantras that he lives by now. He's adding another one, which is victory. He said he wants to conquer SmackDown and show the world what he's all about. I go back to previous points here, when I've said that how it's difficult right now to, to really do anything on SmackDown unless you're a part of the main couple of stories. I don't see what Giovanni Vinci's going to add differently, or I don't see what they're going to do to him differently that they can't do to Carmelo and Andrade. I think he's going to get lost in the shuffle on SmackDown. Talent-wise, great, talented guy, great in the ring. Seems to be a reasonably good promo. But I don't see how he does something that anyone else hasn't already done. He will be, he'll get matches. I'm pretty sure he may even have a couple of enhancement matches. He'll eventually get into a feud with someone on the mid card. But in terms of being on SmackDown weekly, he may be for the first 3 or 4 weeks just because they're reintroducing him. But I don't see him being a stalwart on SmackDown week in, week out. I really don't. And again, nothing to do with him not being talented enough. It's just to do with the storylines that are already ongoing on there. And you've got so many, you're not even got so many. You've got two major storylines on SmackDown, which is the focal point of the show, which is Cody and the title and the Bloodline. Even the title, and I've said this before, even the world title on SmackDown is second to the bloodline. Reality is, it was only first when Roman was champion and it was included within the story. Unfortunately, Cody Rhodes has been he's one of those that have going to suffer from it because the championship isn't going to mean it's going to be second to the bloodline. And Giovanni Vinci, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't see how they put him in there week in, week out after about 3 or 4 weeks. Well, anyway, we're waiting. I keep saying, every week it feels like I'm a broken record because I say the same thing over and over again. I truly, it's just something that's so difficult on SmackDown right now. It really is. And it's because they're doing, and it's because what they've done is working as well. And you kind of, you're anticipating with the bloodline what's coming. I need to stop about the bloodline, so we're going to get to that later. So let's stop. Anyway, Roxanne Perez was shown in the crowd watching the next match, which was Blair Davenport and Naomi. A win for Davenport on this. It was I can't even think Kamigoy or something, whatever to pick up the victory. Yeah, Davenport just starting to find her feet on SmackDown since the draft again. Really talented wrestler can go. We kind of mentioned Naomi at the start here, and it just feels like it's her run, her second run in the WWE since coming back from TNA has been a non-run. It's not even got out of the blocks yet, and she coming back at the Royal Rumble was always going to be difficult because you are caught in that web between Rumble and WrestleMania, where the WWE have kind of already got WrestleMania and their card sorted out. And so it is very difficult for them to kind of get you involved. I know that she was involved, obviously, in WrestleMania, of course, but it was so difficult, and it has been so difficult for Naomi to get really to get involved in something. But I would have thought by now the WWE would have done something with her. But it feels like at the moment they're just kind of going through the motions with Naomi a little bit, which is a shame, really, because again, she's again a really talented, really talented lady. She's got great, she's got great energy. The crowd love her, but I don't feel as if the WWE have got anything meaningful for her at the moment. And that could just be again because things are already going on in the women's division. We've got the Nia Jax is champion. Bailey's been disappeared. Charlotte said mentioned before. Charlotte Flair's coming back soon, and it's just like where does Naomi fit? And you go back to what we've been saying for the whole of this show so far. Where do they fit? Where can they go week after week on SmackDown without anything meaningful? And it's difficult. Naomi falls into that trap, unfortunately, where she's a good hand to have around. She feels like at the moment WWE are like, well, we want to get somebody over, put her in the ring with Naomi. That's how it feels at the moment, unfortunately. But she's very talented. Is she regretting leaving TNA, considering, the partnership now and everything that's going on? Maybe. Maybe she does regret leaving TNA. I don't know. I just think that, again, we're in a situation where she's really doing nothing, which is a shame. I always thought Naomi was a shoo-in for the bloodline. I thought they were going to bring the women into it, Nia Jax as well, just because to add that additional leg of the bloodline to be women would have been ideal. But Naomi loses this match to Blair Davenport, and I don't know what happens next for Naomi. I really don't know at the moment. We'll have to wait and see as we roll on with SmackDown. Next on the list, the breakup that hasn't happened that we're expecting to happen. Waller and Theory still haven't broken up. Now, interesting with this because obviously last week on SmackDown, Austin Theory basically made Nick Aldis book Kevin Owens and Grayson Waller for today. But this week on SmackDown, wasn't very happy about it. Grayson Waller and Theory was like, "You got nothing to worry about. Don't worry." He's like, "We're gonna have, I've got your back. Don't worry." But Kevin was right there. And he said, let's go out and see how easy of an opponent Kevin Owens is. But yeah, we're kind of like with A Down Under, it's something that we're expecting. We've been expecting it for a while, and the longer it goes without it, it could have been easy to do. Once they lost their tag team championships, we were saying that it was going to be they were going to be in the ring. Waller was going to turn on Theory, and Theory was going to start a face run. The longer it goes on without it, the more you're thinking, is WWE second guessing it, or have they really got a plan for what's happening with those two? Because it does really feel like it should have already happened by now, but it hasn't. And I don't know why it's taken so long. It seems quite an easy thing to do, which is just have Austin Theory, give him one more shot at the titles and they lose and Waller beats Austin Theory. It seems to be a really long build for this. Maybe a little bit unnecessary. I don't know. Or am I just being a bit of a hypochondriac because I've said on the other things it doesn't seem as if anything else is going on other than two storylines on SmackDown. So am I kind of, being a bit, of a hypochondriac there? I don't know. But it just does feel like it's taken way too long to do something which shouldn't take too long, if that makes any sense to you. I hope it does. I don't know. It's early and Saturday morning, guys. I don't know. Nevertheless, Kevin Owens does indeed beat Grayson Waller with the pop-up power bomb on this. A-Town Down Under do start beating up Kevin Owens after the match, which then brings out Cody Rhodes. He makes the save. They beat up A-Town Down Under with steel chairs, and Owens gives Cody the title back before he leaves the ring. This is again, it does feel like, what do we do with Cody kind of thing, I'm not been a big fan of his title run. It felt as if, it's just kind of been, oh, let's just put him against this guy for a couple of weeks. Let's just give him this man for 2 weeks. Let's give him Tamatonga because Roman Reigns is coming back. Let's give him Kevin Owens now, and then maybe we'll eventually get to Randy Orton, which is the match we're all really, and that could be the first kind of major feud that Cody Rhodes has had as world champion, or the first major feud he's had since the Bloodline, obviously, and Seth Rollins. And he's had like a trilogy of matches with a lot of people, like Brock Lesnar, he had Nakamura, Seth Rollins, and people like that. And he had a couple with AJ Styles. Again, conspicuous by his absence, AJ Styles. This is what I've been saying. Someone as great as AJ Styles can't even get a look in on SmackDown at the minute. Kind of shows you the situation SmackDown are in right now. And whether it's a good problem to have, I don't know. But that's where they are when people like AJ Styles can't even get on your weekly show. But Cody and Kevin Owens would be a great match, don't get me wrong. Will it allude to a heel turn for Kevin? I don't know if that works. Could do. Maybe then that could set up another match between them. I don't know if I want to see more than one between Kevin and Cody. Nothing to do with them two individuals. Again, it's just investment in a feud, and I'm not invested in that. I've not really been invested in a lot of Cody's. Maybe the Brock Lesnar one was perhaps one of the first ones I was actually invested in after Seth Rollins anyway. Yeah, he lost to Bloodline or lost to Roman. Brock come out, and then Nakamura's one I wasn't that interested in because you kind of knew Cody was going to go over. You kind of knew Cody was going to beat Brock Lesnar as well. Don't get me wrong, but it was just more an intriguing feud to watch. Him and Roman, obviously cinema with The Rock and everyone else involved, but I don't feel as if Cody has been even positioned right as champion. And again, he is playing second fiddle, and this basically goes to prove it, in my opinion. Helps Kevin Owens anyway. Kevin Owens and him clean house. They go to Bash at Berlin in 2 weeks' time for the World Heavyweight Championship with little or no build. Kevin Owens doesn't think he deserves it. Cody Rhodes does think he deserves it. So there's at least a little bit of a story there, a bit bubbling away. But yeah, look, decent match between the two guys. It just just a bit flat, really. Not really that interested. Tonight there was also Solo Sikoa again. Solo saying Tamatonga that Roman Reigns needs to acknowledge him tonight. Interested to see where that goes. LA Knight was, a really good promo. LA Knight's always a good promo again, but again, he's won the United States title. He's had a little bit of a to do with Santos Escobar, but it doesn't feel like the momentum that should be there for him United States champion. Massive pop, don't get me wrong, huge pop. Um, but it's just not there. Like again, he's back in the back seat. The champion should, your champions on your show should be front and center, but they're not. And LA Knight's fallen into that mode. Again, it's great that he won the title. You were thinking, right, now build on it. Give him something to build on. Number one, is Santos Escobar the right guy to build on? Um, I would say no. And secondly, it's just like your champions should be, your champions. You have a show, champions should feature, and it's just like, again, no, let's just give them a 10-minute promo or 5-minute promo, that's it. I don't think they're utilizing it. Again, there is a lot more stuff going on, and I keep going back to Bloodline, but it is front and center of SmackDown, and it has been for so long. And it goes back to what me and Andy were saying a year or so ago, is do they actually know or what they're going to do after the Bloodline? And clearly, what they wanted to do was do it again. So, but now you've got champions full time on your shows. Put your shows about them, make them about them as well, because right now it's not. And a promo from LA Knight is all well and good, but where's the feud? Where is this? You may as well have kept the title on Logan Paul and have him turn up once every month, because you're not utilizing your champions. That's just how I feel. Might just be me. I may be in the minority on that, but hey ho, it is what it is, right? So yeah, LA Knight, decent promo. Looks like Santos Escobar is going to be his first competitor, which is fine. And we'll have to wait and see. Um, at the back, Chelsea, Green, Piper, Niven. They actually thanked Michin for ruining Nia Jax's celebration, but Michin will now get the women's championship opportunity, which I think is next week. And Chelsea Green was not happy about that. Goes into her office, and Nia Jax proceeds at that point to attack Michin from behind, as Nick Aldis tells her to back off. So Nia Jax at least getting some action this week on SmackDown, and looks as though next week, I think it's next week, Michin Mia will get her women's title shot, which you don't really expect her to win, but nevertheless, it's nice to see her having some. Nice to see her actually in the ring, Michin, because she is really talented. So looking forward to that. Now, number one contendership for tag team titles. DIY recently lost to the Bloodline against the Street Profits, who have been stale as hell, and again in kind of in the middle of nowhere, really, for so long because of the stuff with Bobby Lashley. So Bobby Lashley and MVP have now, I think, officially left WWE. I don't think they're on the internal rosters anymore. I believe that they've gone to the alumni section of WWE.com. So all seems to be over for the Almighty and MVP and WWE. MVP certainly not short of a few words at all about it. You can check them out and have your own opinions on them, of course. So this was kind of a match between two teams that DIY have had their success, very, very short-lived. Bloodline won the titles, which was a bit of a shame, really. I get that the DIY wasn't getting much of a reaction, but you put the titles on them for a reason, and the reason was to lose to the Bloodline about 2.5 weeks later. Nevertheless, and then the Street Profits, as I said, been in the middle of nowhere for a while. But this was just tag team wrestling at its absolute best. And WWE do get rightfully criticised for their tag team division not necessarily being great. But you watch a match like this and you know exactly that they can do it. And you do wonder, because there has been a lot of talk about the Lucha Brothers, the Motor City Machine Guns coming in, and you do wonder whether WWE are now trying to maybe revitalize that division. And this match was a prime example of how good their tag team division it actually is. Street Profits did picking up the win for the Doomsday Blockbuster, so they'll get a title shot at the Bloodline again. You don't expect them to win it, but this match was just a great tag team showcase. And I'm really, the tag match itself, just to have that, to have be front and center, to have these four guys. I mean, Angelo Dawkins has been training in the Heart Dungeon with TJ and Natty, and you can tell he's getting so much. He's getting, he's just brilliant. You can see the effort and work that he's putting in, not just in the dungeon, but in the ring. He's definitely getting up, because a lot of people myself included, have always had Montez Ford as the breakout of that. You're expecting a singles run from Montez. You're expecting it to happen. Um, but you can't ignore Angelo Dawkins in this now. He is very much improved wrestler. Again, working in a dungeon will help. He's putting in the hours, he's putting in the miles, so to speak. And you can tell that, and you can tell, and only good things will come from that. But the Street Profits will have a run in with the Bloodline very, very soon. As soon as next week, actually. I'm going to run off next week's card before we get to the main part of the show. Gargano and Ciampa, what happens to them? I really don't know, to be quite honest with you. I'm not quite sure what either of those two will do next. It's kind of been a whirlwind for them. We haven't seen Indy Hartwell or Candice LeRae in a while either, and you just think, well, what was the point? You know, Again, we go back to it's so difficult on SmackDown at the moment, and we'll get into that in a minute because we've got some more things going on. But from a match itself, from a match standpoint, probably one of the best tag team matches I've seen in WWE for a while. Really, really good. Great, great match. What you come accustomed to for these four guys. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Go out your way to watch that on SmackDown. Really good and really fun, enjoyable match. Next week on SmackDown, LA Knights defending the gold against Santos Escobar. There we go. First defense, 3 weeks after he's won it, or 2 weeks after he's won it. No, 3 weeks after he's won it. Yeah. First defense, Santos Escobar. Do you expect Santos Escobar to beat him? No, but at least he's defending. Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi collide with the Unholy Union and Blair Davenport. So putting those in together makes a lot of sense. And the Street Profits get their title shot at the Bloodline. So Michin doesn't get her match next week. So there we go. I thought she did. My bad. I had it written down. Maybe I heard it. Maybe I misheard it. But anyway, regardless of that, that's next week's show. But we're not there yet. Roman Reigns we were waiting for Roman Reigns to come out. Solo was out. He wanted Orlando to acknowledge him. Basically, the original tribal chief said, whatever you want to call it, if you want this Ula fella back, bring your ass out here and let's do it. Well, they absolutely do. Roman starts teeing off on everyone. But now, the one thing, when you listen to wrestling journalists that are tweeting out and stuff, Dave Meltzer, that WWE want to keep Fatu away from Roman Reigns for as long as possible. They don't want Roman Reigns to beat him up, blah, 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 blah. Jacob Fatu comes out and annihilates Roman Reigns. Literally, that's what happened. Roman Reigns was getting the upper hand eventually, and out comes Jacob Fatu, and they absolutely decimate Roman Reigns. So you know where we're moving with this. And this is the good thing, right? This is the real good thing. Because we are moving into that territory where Roman knows that he's not going to be able to do this on his own. So now do the seeds start getting planted? And actually, on Raw this week, and there was Adam Pearce had a call and said, he wanted both of them and blah blah, and we wasn't sure what that was about. But is it about moving Jay and Sammy over, and he wants both of them, meaning that he wants both people over to Raw to accommodate the move, because we know what's going to happen. Roman's going to have to get the band back together, right? So that's the exciting bit, because you're talking about pops and you're talking about reactions, and Roman Reigns coming back was a generational reaction. When the OG bloodline reunite, because it isn't going to happen in one night. He'll bring maybe Jimmy back first, and then there'll be a little bit of hesitancy from perhaps Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, who knows? But eventually they will reunite, and that pop is also going to be generational. But this week they took Roman Reigns out. I think Roman's not scheduled now for about 2 or 3 weeks on SmackDown. So I'm pretty sure the idea was to get him out of the way. I'm not sure what they're going to do in the movie. They defend their tag team titles, obviously, but I'm not sure how the story's going to pivot before we get to Roman returning and the fun and games starting. But it won't be long, I don't think, before that happens. But really looking forward to it. SmackDown was a decent episode. Like I said, and like I've been saying for weeks now, it is heavily bloodline still. And I don't think that's ever going to change for the foreseeable future. And that's why I'm saying the Cody Rhodes Championship seem to be taking a back seat when they should be front and center. It is what it is, unfortunately. But it was a decent episode of SmackDown. Enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing what's next. The tag team match on air was absolutely brilliant. So go and check that out. We are so busy next week, guys. We are crazily busy. We're going to be bringing back top tens. We have got interviews. We have got collaborations. You're going to hear from Mike Mondo next week. There's a lot going on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. You guys need to keep it locked onto our channels. Hit subscribe, smash bells, whatever you want to do. HTT Buckle on X, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on social media platforms. Have a look at us. It's going to be a crazy week of interviews, collabs, review shows. I don't know where the times, and obviously we're going to be all in next weekend, guys. I know this is a WWE show, but AEW next week we're going to be all in. We're going to be meeting the Bullet Club, War Dogs, Dan Maloney, Gabe Kidd. Thanks to Blacksmith Apparel for that. We're going to be there, but just keep a lookout on all the platforms. You'll see us all around. We'll see how busy we're going to be. Very much a collaboration I'm looking forward to next week is the guy that is a streaming sensation, over 5 million likes across his TikTok platform. That is Connor, or you know as Conman167, who has been very busy doing a lot of reaction shows. I'm so looking forward to speaking to Connor and getting insight into him and what he does. He's always on the WWE. Don't check him out, Conman167 on social media platforms. He's great. Guys, this has been the SmackDown review on Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We'll be back with more review shows this weekend and a very busy week next week. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe. Goodbye.